A legal fight between the state and the Trump administration is now resolved, with millions of dollars in AmeriCorps grant money now on its way to Wisconsin, benefiting community service projects across the area. However, there is still concern about the fight for future funds. Jason Zimmerman joins us in the studio after speaking with people who could see the impact. Jason.
Cami, AmeriCorps has to apply every year for this funding, and there is concern about the application process going forward with the current political environment. A decision on funding for the next financial cycle would normally come in September of 2026. The $9.3 million just released by the federal government will support 20 AmeriCorps programs across Wisconsin, along with local volunteer projects. One involves the Green Bay Conservation Corps, which has its office at the Bay Beach Wildlife Sanctuary. Members there participate in conservation projects and engage the public in educational programming and volunteer service. They also work to address areas such as habitat restoration and preservation, trail maintenance and expansion, invasive species removal, and much, much more when it comes to the city's parks and outdoor spaces.
We get just over $300,000 in federal funding for an annual year, and that not only funds, over 150 acres of habitat restoration, over 3 miles of 3 miles of trails being installed, but then it goes to support 49 AmeriCorps members annually.
The restored funding comes after Wisconsin joined a multi-state lawsuit against the Trump administration, which led to a judge's ruling ordering the federal government to fund AmeriCorps programs all across the country. Cami, back to you.